Hey, what's up guys? Jason Julius here, and let's talk about one of the most pleasurable experiences that you can give her: multiple orgasms in a row. Now, most men treat sex like a sprint to a single finish line. She finishes once, you high-five yourself and you think the job is done. Or you finish and the show is over. Now, why do we do that? Because we're projecting our biology onto her. See, us guys, we have a refractory period. The moment we ejaculate, a hormone called prolactin spikes in our system. It kills our arousal and it makes us tired, so we physically need a timeout before we can go again. But here's what you need to understand. Women do not have a refractory period. Biologically, all sexually healthy women are capable of having orgasms over and over and over again. But here's the problem. Here's why most guys fail to give them to her. You give her that first amazing orgasm, usually with your tongue or your hand on her clitoris, or maybe you do it with your cock using the CAT technique. Now you feel like a king, so thinking you've found the magic button, you keep doing the exact same thing to try and give her a second one. And what happens? She winces, she says, "Ooh, that's too much." She pushes your hand away. You didn't do anything wrong, you just hit the sensitivity barrier. After a clitoral orgasm, the nerves on the outside become hypersensitive. It's like turning the volume knob from a 5 instantly to 100. Touching her clitoris directly doesn't feel good anymore. It feels like too much. So does that mean the show's over? Absolutely not. In this video, I'm going to teach you the secret to bypassing that barrier. It's a technique that I call the internal pivot. I'm going to show you how to take that energy from the first orgasm and immediately channel it into a vaginal orgasm using the G-spot or A-spot to create an open loop of pleasure where she can release again and again without it ever hurting or feeling uncomfortable. So to understand why the internal pivot works, you need to understand the two different types of orgasms a woman can have. First, you have the clitoral orgasm. This is the most common type. It's how women typically masturbate, and it's fantastic. But biologically, the clitoris is an organ that's packed with over 8,000 nerve endings, and it is pure electricity. The problem is once she discharges that electricity, once she has that first orgasm, those nerve endings don't just reset, they stay charged. They become hypersensitive. If you keep rubbing it, it feels like scratching a sunburn. It's too much sensation, and her body instinctively shuts the gate to protect her. That is the sensitivity barrier. And then you have vaginal orgasms. These come from stimulating the internal triggers, the G-spot, which is the urethral sponge, or the A-spot, which is the vaginal fornix. Stimulating these spots is completely different. When she has a vaginal orgasm, there is no sensitivity barrier. In fact, it creates an open loop. When she releases from internal stimulation, the tissue inside actually becomes more engorged. It swells up, it becomes more receptive to touch, not less. And this means that once she's had one orgasm, it's actually physically easier for her to have the second one than it was for her to have the first one. There's one more amazing piece to this. Once she has that first release, whether it was clitoral or vaginal, her brain chemistry changes. She drops out of her thinking mind and into what I call an orgasmic state. She's flooded with oxytocin. Her muscles are relaxed. She's totally present. And this is the golden window. Most guys miss this window because they stop. But if you know how to pivot, if you know how to take that relaxed, open state and immediately switch to internal stimulation, you aren't starting from zero. You're actually starting from the finish line. And that's why it's so much easier to give her all the next orgasms after the first one. So how do we execute this? I'm going to give you the exact game plan. It's a simple 3-step protocol. Step 1, get her over the edge. Do whatever works for her. Use your tongue, use your fingers to rub her clit during sex. Use the base of your cock to stimulate her during penetration. Most of the time, getting her over the edge the first time is going to be a clitoral orgasm because that's how women are used to orgasming. Now, focus entirely on getting her that first release. Be present with her. Get her over the edge. Then step 2 is the hands-off rule. This is where 99% of guys mess this up. The second that she finishes, the moment that she stops spasming, do not touch the clitoris again. Consider that area closed for business. If you try to go back there, you hit that sensitivity barrier that we talked about, and she will just wince and she'll clamp up and the momentum is dead. Step 3 is the internal pivot. Instead of stopping, you're going to immediately pivot. While she is still coming down from that first high, while she's still flushed and breathing heavy, you slide your fingers inside and you go straight for the G spot, which is the urethral sponge on the roof, or the A spot, the deep pocket that we talked about in previous videos. Now, why do we do this immediately? Because right now she is in an orgasmic state. Her pelvic floor is relaxed. The internal tissues are swollen with blood. She's physically primed for sensation, and her mind is completely present, and alpha brainwaves are abundant. You don't need 20 minutes of foreplay to warm her up again. She's already warm. She's already there. By switching to internal stimulation, you bypass the sensitive clitoris completely and tap directly into the open loop of the vagina. And because she is already in that trance state, if you start stimulating the G-spot right now, that second wave is going to build incredibly fast. And it's going to be deeper and stronger than the first one. Now, listen to me. You can do this internal pivot exactly right. You can have the perfect timing and you can slide your fingers in at the exact right second. But 9 times out of 10, guys still ruin this moment. Why? Because the second she finishes that first orgasm, you check out. You feel the spasms stop and you mentally high-five yourself. You think, yes, I did it. I gave her an orgasm. Because you feel that sense of victory, your energy drops. You pull back slightly. Maybe you stop moving your hands to take a breath. Or worse, you ask, did you come? That is the kiss of death. Here's what you need to understand about her biology right now. When she is in an orgasmic state that we talked about, her brain has shifted gears. She is floating in alpha and theta brainwaves. She's in a deep trance-like state. She isn't thinking, she's just floating in sensation. If you stop your touch, or if you start talking and asking her a logical question, you snap her out of the trance. You force her brain to jump back into beta waves, her thinking mind to answer you. It's like waking a sleepwalker. You jolt her system. And the moment her thinking mind turns back on, that open loop closes. The magic window is gone. So what do you need to do instead? You need to hold the container. You need to maintain the energy of the connection, even in the silence after the peak. To hold her in that container and keep her in that deep receptive trance, you need to bring 3 specific energies. First, you need to make her feel safe. This is about inner stillness. In that moment right after she finishes, do not rush to the next move. Do not check your phone. Do not celebrate. Just be there. Be the mountain. Breathe deep into your belly. Regulate your own nervous system. When you're totally grounded, she feels that she doesn't need to recover or perform for you. She feels safe enough to just float in the afterglow without needing to put her armor back on. Second, you need to make her feel seen. This is about attunement. Watch her breathing. Sync your breath with hers. Feel the heat radiating off of her skin. You're keeping the connection alive. You're basically saying to her body, I'm still right here with you. This prevents her from drifting back into her thoughts. As long as she feels seen by you, she stays connected to her body. And third, you need to make her feel stirred. This is where you bring the leadership. When you feel her breathing settle, when you feel her coming down and ready to go up the hill again, you don't ask, are you ready for another one? Asking requires her to think. Thinking kills the mood. Instead, you lead. You confidently slide your fingers inside to the G spot or the A spot. You set the direction. You show her that you have the energy and the desire to take her deeper. When she trusts your leadership, she doesn't have to make decisions. She can just surrender to the next wave. When you combine the internal pivot with this container, your energy influences her state. You create an experience where the first orgasm isn't the finale, it's just the opening ceremony. So there you have it. Master the internal pivot, get her over the edge externally, and then before the moment fades, immediately switch to the internal stimulation to tap into that open loop. But remember, the technique is only half the battle. Your energy is the other half. If you check out, she checks out. But if you hold that container, if you continue to make her feel safe, seen, and stirred with your energy, you can ride that wave as long as you want. Now, obviously, to pull off the internal pivot, you need to know exactly where to pivot to. If you don't know how to find the G-spot or how to stimulate the urethral sponge to get that squirting release, then sliding your fingers inside isn't going to do much. So if you want to see exactly how to find and stimulate the G-spot visually so you know exactly what you're looking for, I have a free educational training video over on my blog. It breaks down the anatomy and motion so you can execute this pivot with total confidence. I'll put the link in the description below. Head over to jasonjulius.com/squirt, watch that training, and take your game to the next level. And hey, if you got value from this video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel reach more men that need to hear this message. Make sure that you're subscribed because we have a lot more coming up on how to master your energy and your bedroom life. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.